Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. I'm looking forward to talking with Georgee George, CEO and founder of Yummee Pop. We met at Holiday Market where I go grocery shopping. My family does. You were giving out samples. I bought some of your popcorn. It was great. And here you are. So, Georgee, it's nice to see you. And thanks for being on the podcast. So I want to talk about popcorn. I love popcorn. I feel like most everybody loves popcorn. And so I want to just kind of talk about your love of popcorn and how you got into the popcorn business.
Well, I didn't originally love popcorn. I was a potato chip girl. So I discovered I had some food intolerance. So I ended up switching over to popcorn because it did well with my system.
Okay.
And so when I started popping popcorn at home, I shared it with my sister, and she said, "Oh wow, this is good. You should try to make some caramel." Now, originally, I was doing what we call the Himalayan salt, just basic like movie theater popcorn, salt and butter, or whatever. So I did the caramel as a surprise for Christmas for my clients and my sister and my coworkers, and they fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so after that, they was like, "You need to sell this," and I said, "Oh no, I'm not selling popcorn. Are you crazy? No." But then it persisted. They kept asking. And about a year later, I did 100 bags of popcorn just to see if it was a thing, if it was just my family or if it was really a thing. So I sold out and Yummee Pop was born.
Your popcorn is really, really great. I love popcorn. And so it's you read in so many business books, if you have an idea, make sure people will actually buy it. Beta test. It sounds like you kind of did that somewhat purposely, somewhat accidentally, and kind of in a way maybe fell into the business. But then there's the idea of like universal pull, right? Like the universe is kind of putting something in front of you and, that you never thought. And so like, talk to that for a second. Like, what was it that even energetically kind of got you like moving in this world? I mean, that's a big step to making popcorn, giving it to some friends and your family, and then, people telling you to start a business, but then actually taking the time, the energy, and the effort to actually start a business. So what was it that kind of was ignited in you to say, yeah, I'm gonna start this business?
Well, I've been self-employed for over 30 years. So not entrepreneur, but just self-employed where I work for myself. And it's just in my spirit. Whenever I come up with an idea, like most entrepreneurs be, "Oh, how can you make a business out of that?" But that wasn't the deal with Yummee Pop. So what made me move forward was I kept hearing it over and over for a year. I had denied it for a year. And then I said, "Okay, universe, I hear you.
Yeah.
Something may be going on here." So I said, "Let's give it a try." So when I gave it a try, I realized it wasn't just my people who enjoyed it, but it was something that everyone could enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I promised myself I'll continue this as long as the people want it. And they want it.
They want it. And so what's your most popular flavor?
Well, so the number one seller, of course, is caramel because everyone loves caramel. And our caramel, which one did you try?
I bought like 3 different bags. I got the caramel for sure because that's my favorite overall always. And then I can't remember what I got. I want to say, was there like a dill or like, yeah, I think I may have gotten that, and then just regular popcorn, I think, like Himalayan sea salt maybe, yeah.
So you got the 3 that we initially started with. So caramel is number 1, of course. It's one of the best caramels in Michigan, I'll say, in the States, because our caramel is made from scratch. So as you notice, it's more crispy. It doesn't get stuck in your teeth. So it's a good caramel. And then the dill is a fan fave. If you like that sour tanginess,
That was great.
They love the dill.
Yeah.
And then the Himalayan salt is my favorite, but that is just the basic popcorn. So if you like basic popcorn, you'll love that. So it just depends. But caramel is the number 1 seller.
Yeah.
And so we have, I don't know if you remember we have a new flavor, which is the spicy, and that one is catching up.
It's catching up. Yeah. All right, I'll have to try that one. I'll have to try that one. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. I want to go kind of back to the business. So the universe is speaking to you. Family, friends, universe. People are buying your product, and then you sell 100 bags, and then I'm making an assumption now, and then 200 bags, and then 300 bags, and now all of a sudden, you're a substantial company. And now you have bigger responsibilities, bigger expenses, bigger dot dot dot. And so how did you make that jump to make sure, because I think this is important for all business owners, specifically new business owners, to make sure that you were investing but still profitable?
So I grew small. I mean, slow. So we're still a significantly small business, but I take it slow. I make sure the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
Uh, so initially, when I first started off, I was in the farmers markets, and of course, we made money easily that way. But then when we took the leap to go into a commercial kitchen and to sell wholesale, the first year, of course, we didn't make any money. We were making money, but we had a lot of expenses. So, what I would say for a new entrepreneur, you're going to possibly not make any money the first few years. But if you see you have something that is in demand, people want it, just pay attention to your numbers and try to. What I did was I tried to make sure I wasn't growing too fast. I wanted to make sure that this was something real.
Yeah.
I took my time with scaling, and I just pushed the product. And the more I pushed the product, the more the demand grew. And then I was able to scale and buy new equipment to pay, for the scaling. But I didn't do it the other way around because I wasn't for sure. I didn't want to go buy a $10,000 piece of machine.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, so smart. And then, I just want to kind of touch on this a little bit more because I think it's really important. Paying attention to expenses. I think that is something that sometimes new business owners get nervous. Not that you were necessarily, but new business owners get nervous about. They don't want to spend too much because, like you said, they want to make sure that they have a business that people still want to buy the product and that they can grow and they see profitability in the near future. How did you, as you were growing, continually look at your expenses, figure out where to cut expenses while not cutting quality of any of the products?
So what I did was I just paid attention to what was working and what wasn't really working.
Mhm.
So I pulled out of some stores that it just wasn't working. The market just didn't they didn't buy the popcorn as much as I wanted them to. I have a minimum for each store. So if I do demos every month, and if the sales are not as I require for that month without me being there,
Yeah.
I decrease. I mean, I pull out of that store because it doesn't make sense. So I put my energy where I get a return.
Yeah.
So even in the kitchen, if I have a system and I'm realizing that system is not working as well as I thought, then I try something different.
Yeah.
So that I just kind of trial and error with everything to see
Yeah.
what makes sense.
But it sounds like what I love about kind of the through line of what you're talking about, Georgie, is you're not in a rush. You're not in a rush and you take your time and there's a methodicalness that's put into each step to make sure that it's right for the business. I mean, your product is great. I've had it. Your packaging is great. I love the whole everything about your business and your product. But what's so impressive, and I think so many people can learn from it, is don't rush. and that can be very, very difficult for many entrepreneurs, because many entrepreneurs are type A. They move very, very quickly. Many of them have ADHD, so they move naturally. That's an advantage for most, I think. So just if you were to kind of create a master class on how to slow down for a new entrepreneur, what would the one, two, or three things be in order of importance to continually find your pause and slow down to make sure that your next step is the right step?
Well, so like you said, it is hard because I have attention deficit disorder as well, and I'm
Good.
all over the place.
It's a benefit. I just listened to, and I've always believed, I believe this in general, but one of my favorite podcasts is Founders, and a podcast named David Senra. And David Senra, I just listened to an interview he did with Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase. And one of the things he was talking about was that this world that we're in right now is built for people with learning disabilities and dyslexia and ADHD, because your brain, you have to be quick and you have to think and move quickly. So I'm glad you have that, because I think you can speak to a wider audience also on how you are wired that way, but also have kind of wired your way to slow down. So what would the Georgee 1, 2, 3 masterclass be for that?
Okay, so let me just say this: I have dyslexia as well.
Oh, good.
So that's one of the things for me. So the master class that I would teach is take your time. Rushing through things, you make a lot of mistakes, and I don't like mistakes. You're going to make them because that's part of life. But if you take your time, you could fix those mistakes much easier than you could if you rush through it, because you may not even notice the mistake until it's too late.
Right.
So pay attention to what your customers are saying, and pay attention to your gut.
Amen.
So you want to speed up, but sometimes you have to slow down, because for me, this is new for me, and I don't want to make mistakes that were that I didn't have to make, right? So I take my time, and if I don't have the answer, I ask for it. I seek the knowledge from someone who already know the answer. So I would say for a masterclass, one, take your time, listen to your gut, and tap into your resources. Ask for help. If you don't have the answer, you can find it. It's out there. Somebody else knows the answer.
There's zero reason to go to business school, because all you need to know are those things right there. That is really, really true. All the data may point to one thing, but your gut may tell you differently. There's an old story, I don't know if it's fact or fiction, but that Sam Walton of Walmart would go to his board meetings, and everyone would say, hey, here's the data, and here's the data, da-da-da. And he would take the data and go to the coffee shop and have coffee and donuts or pie with his clients. And then he would come back to the boardroom, because he realized nobody at the boardroom actually shopped at Walmart. And then he would say, this is the data that matters. And so really kind of, taking that gut check to another level. But I think it's so, so, so important to find stillness, take time to reflect, take time to pause. I'm going to be 54 this year, and the older I get, the more magic I find in those moments of just slowing down and listening to your gut. You talked about the universe was, popcorn. It starts as a whisper, and then it gets kind of louder until you do something about it. So kudos, that's great. I do want to touch on this. You mentioned, so I don't make mistakes, but we all make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm sure you have too. What's the biggest mistake you made, and what's the biggest lesson you learned from it?
The biggest mistake I made, let's think. Well, I won't call it a mistake. Um,
You know what I call it? Actually, I call them expensive seminars.
that's a good one.
Right.
So let me tell you, like when I first started Yummee Pop, when I said, okay, we're gonna go into the commercial arena, so I wanted to have a niche because there's so many different popcorn companies out
Yeah.
there, right? So I was like, okay, so we're gonna be vegan friendly, and that's what I'm gonna push. We're vegan friendly, we're gluten free. That's what I pushed, right? So that was the whole thing. So during that time, when we first started, we had a white cheddar cheese flavor, and I pulled it because it's not vegan.
Yeah.
But it was one of my top sellers. But I pulled it because I'm like, this is a vegan friendly company now. So I did a market research analysis and found out that the reason people buy Yummee Pop has nothing to do with the fact that we're vegan friendly and gluten free. They buy it because it's good and it has clean ingredients. So I won't call that a mistake, but that was an aha moment to where I realized, okay, I pulled something that was valuable to my customer.
Yeah.
And now I have to bring it back.
Yeah. Well, it's like Coke Classic, right? They made a mistake. That's great. Actually, I think I got that flavor too, and it was great. I want to say I got that flavor. I can't remember, but that's that. I'm glad you brought it back because that is a great flavor popcorn. To niche or not to niche, right? So two questions on this, right? So you learned that the popcorn industry, I don't know if it's a heavily populated, no pun intended. You have the skinny pops and you have all those types of brands. But mine is a movie theater. I don't know how crowded the popcorn space is. And so there does seem to be a lot of room for it. And there is something, at least for me, about buying from somebody who has made it locally that seems to really get me to buy it, and so what have you seen as far as coming into the popcorn market? What did you learn about coming into this space?
Well, I learned that there's not a lot of companies quite like mine.
Yeah.
There are a lot of popcorn companies out here, big ones and small ones, local and national ones. But as far as a premium gourmet popcorn, where it's actually not, so a lot of companies, they have 20 flavors. If you go to some places, you can get 20 different flavors of popcorn. And then it's just full of chemicals and all kinds of stuff. And then you have some popcorn companies that are on the cleaner side. But I did notice that there's not a lot of companies quite like Yummee Pop, where we make our own recipes of flavors, like the dill sea salt and vinegar. There's not another dill sea salt and vinegar out there that I know about. There's a dill pickle popcorn, but not like what we have. There's not another spicy popcorn that's made with Ethiopian spices. So we are unique. We're premium gourmet popcorn. So
good. Yeah. I love it. All right. Quick speed round. What's a book that's made a big impact on you?
Okay, so I have two.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So one is, of course, E-Myth, right?
E-Myth should be mandatory reading in I think high school and college and grad school. It is such a great book. Every business owner should read that book. Yes.
And then my other number one favorite entrepreneurial book is called The Answer. Have you heard of that one?
No, tell me more.
I don't know who it's by, but I as an entrepreneur, we tend to be on a roller coaster ride emotionally, right? Yeah. So this book helped me kind of stabilize my goals. So it goes through you write down everything that you desire, like your goal list or your list, your goals, right? And you create an affirmation that you go through every day, and it kind of help you get your mind set to be successful every single day. You do these exercises, and it help you stay stable mentally. Even when you have an anxiety attack, it brings you back because
Yeah.
you already have trained your mind to think a certain way.
That's
So
is it the Book of Answers or is it
the answer.
I don't know. It's called The Answer. I'm just looking it up. The Answer book. Oh, The Answer with a big question mark on it. Hold on, you went mute, I think. Can you hear me? Can you let me
Okay, you hear me?
yeah.
So
Oh, I see it. The Answer. Grow any business, achieve financial freedom, and live an extraordinary life.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Good. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Say that again.
Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
The best piece of wisdom I've ever received. Don't stress about it because whatever you stressed about a year ago, you don't even remember. Just keep moving forward.
Amen. Amen. Finish this sentence. One thing every person who's ignoring a whisper idea from the universe, they should
listen.
Tell everybody, Georgee, where they can buy your popcorn, connect with you, yada, yada, yada.
So Yummee Pop, you could get it at most of the specialty grocery stores in Metro Detroit, Michigan, or you could also get us online at yummeepop.com. That's with 2 E's, YUMMEEPOP.com.
It's great. Georgee, I'm so glad I met you at Holiday Market. I love your product. I love your popcorn. But more importantly, I love your philosophy of business. Sometimes things are so simple, it's complicated. And, Think Community, Georgee kind of laid out a lot of really important things. Take your time, listen to your gut, ask for help, tap into your resources. Those sound very simple, but to many, many people, it's very, very difficult. I think sometimes we let our egos get in the way to prevent us from that, and we resist what we need to do most. And Think Community, just tap into what Georgee said. Try our popcorn at yummeepop.com. It's great. Do you ship? Do you mail? Okay, good. So
we do.
Okay,
we
good.
ship all over the United States.
All right, good. Georgee, this was great. I appreciate it. Think Community. Again, yummeepop.com. You can reach me at johndwoskin.com. Thanks for being on, Georgee. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.